It's really obvious that science is a neurotypical invention. It's a neurotypical religion. Because truth is defined by claims that have passed peer review. Right? Which means that we have assigned a few clerics of the faith the right, the authority to consider whether something is true or not. And if they don't agree that it is, then it isn't. Right? And this is exactly how people get mistreated by like the healthcare system, right? So like any minority is going to be familiar with this, right? If you're a woman, if you're trans, if you're a person of color, if you're neurodivergent, whatever, your claims about your own sensations in your own body, like whether you're feeling pain or whatever, are going to be looked at with skepticism by the medical practitioners, right? You know this. We all know this. This is a thing, right? If you're autistic, you have ADHD or something, and you go and you talk to somebody and you claim that you have pain and something, they'll just kind of look at you and not believe you. I've heard from amputees that they'll report like pain in their limb, and the doctors will just kind of stare at them like they're fucking crazy. Like, no, you know, and sometimes they'll even say, no, you don't. It doesn't hurt. What the fuck? This is exactly how science is built, too. But we're all supposed to take this shit seriously. Like, what a fucking clown show. Are you serious? Right? Like, basically, like, what you're saying is it's impossible for me to know whether I'm hungry or not. Because that's not something that can be submitted to peer review. And as such, it's not something that can be made true in a scientific regard. Right? This is effectively what it boils down to. And, you know, you'll be like, oh, that's a ridiculous example if you're some kind of apologist for the faith. But you'll also object to me calling science a faith, that it's a religion. Of course it's a religion. Look at where it came from. Right? Look at Isaac Newton. What situation did Isaac Newton come out of? Isaac Newton came out of the English Civil War. What was the English Civil War fundamentally about? It was a religious war. It's part of the 30 Years' War, right? Which is this war regarding Catholicism and Protestantism across Europe. What came out of that? Secularism. But it's not Abrahamic secularism. Right? If you look at science, the deity is named science. The bringer of all truth is called science. The practice is called science. This is very much the same as Christianity, where the deity is Christ and a practitioner is a Christian, right? Like, the way that the words work is the same. The thing that the words mean is the same, right? Like, it's just a monotheistic Abrahamic religion, fundamentally. Yeah, good times. But of course you'll object. Oh no, it's not. It's totally different from a religion, which is why you have to proselytize to everybody. You have to get everyone to agree with you on everything. Why can't you chill the fuck out? Why can't you let people believe different things from each other? Yeah, some beliefs can be a problem, granted, but going around being a jackass, proselytizing to everybody, insisting that you know better what they should be doing in their life than than they know, like that just makes you a dick, right? That's called being an asshole. Why is the why? Because neurotypicals. That's why. I know the answer. I opened with the answer because it's a neurotypical faith. Neurotypicals don't understand how to do anything other than follow. They're told a way, and they do that. Don't know why. It's just what they do. But then they go around and they proclaim that they have a monopoly on things like empathy, even though, right, it has to be explained to them how to take care of a dog because they can't figure it out on their own. And why is the dog crying? I don't know. Why is the dog crying? Well, probably because it needs something. But you're neurotypical, so you can't figure that out. But it's us. It's the neurodivergent community. It's us that are impaired. Really? Are you sure? Are you sure about that assessment? You sure you got that right? It's also interesting that if you go back a century, there wasn't really a need to recognize anything like maybe autism. There wasn't a need for that. Why? Where did this need come from to recognize this all of a sudden? Maybe it's because society is now built in a stupid fucking way. And we know this. We know that it's unsustainable to live the way that we live today. We know that things are going to break down, right? You have things like, well, throughout the 20th century, you have all kinds of things that cause cancer that came about. You have all kinds of things that cause all sorts of cognitive impairments, right? You have all the lead. You have all these crazy things like destroying the ozone layer and, like, god damn it. This is a period of just mass self-annihilation. That's really what's going on, right? You've got radiation poisoning going all over the place. You've got asbestos everywhere. You've got lead poisoning. You've got, god damn. On top of this, you have like the way that the economies are functioning, the way like the global economy is functioning. All sorts of just these bizarre brand new controls at these huge scales that nobody's ever seen before. And you're looking at this and you're wondering, oh, why is it that we're needing to like recognize these different psychologies and consider most of them impaired somehow, when we didn't need to do that 150 years ago, 200 years ago. It might be because you broke society. That might be what's happening, right? Like, I mean, I'm over here, I'm autistic, and I live on I collect my own rainwater and process my own rainwater, and it's cleaner than city water, safer to drink than city water. I grow some amount of my own food. I butcher and process my own animals, produce eggs. I produce wheat, corn, beans, peas, onions, tomatoes, like, right? Like, food, right? I have no problem doing this. As an autistic person, I have no problem doing this. This is not a problem for me. Working 40 hours a week, that's a problem for me, right? Following the sort of life that a neurotypical today is supposed to be following, and we'll be like, oh, I can't imagine any other way of doing anything ever. I would struggle with that. I do struggle with that. I've done that, and it's a problem. But, like, living more traditionally, I can do that easily. But we worship advancement. We worship science. We worship the modern world. Right? Like, oh, computers and robots and AI and electric cars and all this shit. Like, no. How about no? Right? Like, I daily a 50-year-old car that does not have a coolant system. It does not have head gaskets. It does not have computers. Right? I can take that engine apart with my bare hands with mostly basic hand tools on the side of the road, rebuild it, put it back together, and get back on the road in an hour. And I have done this, right? And like I can change piston rings on the side of the road. I can, I can adjust valves. I can, um, uh, yeah, just on the side of the road with basic tools. It's like I chose this vehicle on purpose. But everybody wants like the car with the subscription heater in the seats, with the cameras that spy on you, with the computer that the company can just shut down so that you can't access your own vehicle. That's what everybody wants now. Why? Why? This is a neurotypical thing. Just following what you're told. This is a neurotypical thing. And science is very much this sort of a faith where the whole idea is we just have a few people who decide what's true and we're all just supposed to follow it. Right? It's not about truth. It's not about rigor. Like any religion, there is a kernel to it that is pretty sound, and that's the thing that is the hook. And then there's all this other bullshit that's attached to it, and it's a take it or leave it situation. So yeah, kind of have to just go along with all of it, right? If you're skeptical of parts of it, people are skeptical of you. Right? My thing at this point in life is you can't really ostracize me in any more than I already am, and you can't do it in ways that I haven't experienced already. So I'm not afraid of you. I don't give a shit, right? So I'll sit here and I'll come up with some nice things that contradict your current worldviews, and I'll present them as a big fuck you with all sorts of flavoring that makes it so that it's unpalatable to you. And we're like, here. This is intended as a gift to communities like flat earthers, to communities like, I don't know, just like the neurodivergent community, the trans community, like people who have been slighted and maligned by science and know what this is. The Stockholm Syndrome. The Stockholm Syndrome is intense with people, though, right? So people are like, oh, but science gave me everything. And, even though it's the people that are, like, being screwed over by it the most. So there's that. There's the Stockholm Syndrome. But like I said, I can't be ostracized anymore, so I might as well just say what I'm going to say. Right?